Welcome everybody to part 2 of the campaign guide here on WWE Supercard for main card campaign, which is the Royal Rumble 26 campaign. Of course, if you are new to the campaign guide, on the left of your screen you will see the matches I'm focusing on, and you will see everything they need to know about the match. So whether it's the gender, the tag, if it's tag or singles, stat, and number to beat. Of course, on the stats, if it says a bracket with a table, it will also say that as well. So it'll be like 129 to table, minus 129 table, which is just an additional effect that happens as well. So, yeah, so we are focusing on stages 64 to 70. Now, this campaign guide will be trying to focus on some free-to-play elements that you could technically get free, but there will be a few paid things here and there, but of course, find the alternatives as well. And we are going to be showcasing equipment only once if they have not been used before. Of course, for the first use, we will show them off. So starting off with 64 now, we have a match here with a 711k to charisma. Female power match is 754k, and a male attacking speed at 1.9 million, which is a difficult match, which we are going to try to do. So, however, though, that is definitely going to be our super move if we cannot do it. So, firstly, starting off, we will be looking at, for that charisma match, we'll be looking at the man LA Knight himself. Actually, he's got more speed. No, we'll go look at Batista for speed for the charisma match, because he's got, of course, more. Well, he's got less charisma, but we're going to need LA Knight for speed. However, though, I will say, with the flipped version of Batista, you can get him to proc in charisma as well. Of course, there's the other version as well, the power and toughness version, which you typically see on Batista. Now, we do have a female power match, which we are going to be using Jade Cargill here, which is going to be a very easy win for us. Of course, we're going to be using that, and that is at 800k. And then lastly, we are going to be using our LA Knight here with speed equipment and also support plus manager, and we should be alright. Of course, Randy Orton talking to us now. I'm hoping we can 3-star this with the 1.9 million. Although if not, it is your super move match. The other two matches are guaranteed wins. The other one, the speed match, I'm not actually tested, but I do know that, you know, the other two work, because you can see match 1 and 2 there, 754 there, and that's Stephanie Vacker. Of course, as you can see on the left of your screen. Now, this is, and I think we just beat it, actually. Never mind, oh no, we do beat it. Let's go. So it's either we got a silent proc or something. Now, in this, we're not going to be showing the recaps and stuff, but of course, do remember, if you want to try to beat that match, you need a ladder, or equally, you can use a universe or a table if you do need to. So starting off, just going to show the equipment off. So first time use of these boots, maxed out boots on LA Knight. And then on Batista, we had the Elimination Chamber crate, which you can get for free on the Supercard web store. It's definitely not maxed out. You can get a much better second charisma. You can get up to 100k in charisma, which I will show you now. So yeah, there is 103k, 93k, but we are very unlucky in this situation. With Aleister Black, we used the AJ Styles vest, which you can get on the Rarity draft board right now. Lastly, Jade Cargill, Lady Flam's mask, which ignore that 114k, because we do not have Lady Flammer in this deck. Alright, perfect. Next is all charisma. Now, with this, LA Knight is going to be very useful. Of course, you do have that Batista option as well, but this is where it's going to be a little bit not like the most helpful for everyone. However, in this case, I will be using these equipments. So firstly, I'm going to be looking at AJ Lee's boots. Now we do have the Battle Pass AJ, hence why we are using these boots. Jade Cargill's going to be getting some adventure equipment here. Hopefully, AJ Lee can cover it. She should be able to, though. However, and then lastly, Batista and LA Knight are in singles matches, so we're going to be using the Elimination Chamber crate again on Batista, which should be a very easy win. They're two 800k stats, so we don't need too much in terms of charisma. Of course, we do have that manager as well at 88k. So let's do stage 65. Of course, using the if you've got a flipped Batista, however, make sure you flip it back to the corporate sort of suit Batista, as that procs in charisma, whereas the other one will proc in power and toughness. So do keep aware of that. This way we're going to use our super move. Now we are going to use Finn Balor instead of skipping, and that is actually a win at 2.1 million. Whereas this stat here is very high 900s. However, though, feel free to super move this match, as you do not need to do this match. We are doing it just for the showcase, really. Of course, there's LA Knight there with the 849, which beats Bron Breakker's 802. And perfect. Of course. With the AJ Lee Battle Pass, you do get AJ Lee's boots, which we will just show off now. Of course, that 148k did apply in this situation. And also, LA Knight's adventure equipment is just here. It's not great by any shape or means, and for the next campaign, it will basically be almost useless, I would imagine. But there it is. Of course, Batista's as well, which stayed the same. Moving on to 66 now. Is a lot of speed, some speed, and also a lot of female power matches, which we are going to show here. Now, this one, a little bit more difficult, mainly because we do not have Piper Niven. However, though, we do have Jade Cargill, meaning that this match should be very easy. So we are going to be using AJ Styles' vest. Quickly, that should be enough for that 710, and it's absolutely enough. Now, we are going to be using Lady Flammer's equipment again on Jade. Alternatively, though, we could actually use a mouth guard, though. But for the sake of the campaign guide and time, we're not going to, because Jade's proc rate is quite low, unfortunately. Now, we actually are not going to be able to beat that second match. Well, I mean, we might actually be able to. 800k, no one, it's 845. So I'm just going to show literally anyone. Yeah, we use Piper Niven. Just to sort of show, of course, with a pro Piper. If you do not have Jade, you can do the first match without it. However, of course, this is not pro, so please do that, bear that in mind. As the campaign guide does go on, that will add roughly 450k. Now, do bear in mind, though, with a pro Piper, that should be okay, hopefully. Although I do have doubts. Alternatively, though, you can also use a table in it if you are very unsure. Alternatively, though, if you do have a Piper Niven and you've got decent power equipment, feel free to use it. I don't think it'll work but you do here never know. Of course, it is a 860k match, so you need a 430. However, though, with that 129 extra with the table, that is going to be a concern for a fair amount of people, which I'd imagine. But of course, do super move using your best person. AJ Lee, as I showed previously, would be perfectly fine for it. So please do keep that in mind, because because as you see there, Jade Cargill wins this match. And then this is sort of our super move match, our throwaway match with Maxine Dupree. Of course, we were going to lose that anyway, because we did not have, lose that with doing, if we were actually trying it and not super moving it. But with a super move, that is how you can do stage 66. 67 now is a very, it's a stage, that's for sure. It's one that I'd imagine will take a few people a little bit of time to do, a bit of time to figure out perhaps. Of course, with Jade and Alistair, we are going to be changing their equipment because we need to focus on toughness. Now, good thing, we've got Alistair Black. And also, we got Eric, which I understand was bugged. So, of course, this is a backstage Eric. Of course, we do also have this Batista here, should we need it. Now, Eric's actually deep better in toughness in this instance, so we are going to be using it. For speed, though, of course, we are going to be using AJ Lee's vest. AJ Styles' vest, sorry, not AJ Lee's. And also, Jade Cargill's just going to get some static boots, which gets to 1.5 million, which actually might not be enough. Alternatively, though, we can use a support or a Heenan manager. In this case, we're just going to use a Heenan manager just to show it. Then Logan Paul's drop for Alistair is at a 684. Now, this is where we're going to use our Batista's sort of combination here, really, with one Batista, and also one Eric as well, which we could actually use a mouth guard, ideally on Batista, though, which I will just show here. Hopefully he procs, although it is 30%, he probably won't, because it does have an extra 145k proc there. And Eric will get a stat boost as well, which we can actually use. And yeah, that's better. Alright. Of course, do bear in mind we don't have a static, a Rumble 26 guitar. So, well, we do, but it's a single, which not very useful in this campaign guide, as you will learn to see very quickly. So here is a 1.6 million here. Of course, Julia really low down there. That's 750k, and that's why the stats are lower than you'd think they would be at. Wait, I've actually beats Eric actually beats at 684, which I almost remembered. Perfect. And then this is where we are kind of hoping Batista to proc, although I do not think he will. Someone tells me he won't, but it would be funny if he did. He actually did as well at 146,000, and that is a win. That is what we like to call destruction. So, that is how you would 3-star it. Of course, do super move that second match, or that first match, if you do need to. If you want to focus with a Maxine manager, do the match 2 and 3 super move the first one. So look, Batista, he went to 863, of course. Alistair went to 918. Of course, we weren't really sure the replays, but this is what happened with Heenan's change. Of course, if you take roughly 120, around 130k, 138k off, that is what that will go to, so that should be a loss. Alright, stage 68 now, which is the same thing, except there's a focus on charisma on 2 different levels here. Now, of course, we do again have that big toughness match, which is our sort of concern, really. But, of course, we are going to be using a Maxine manager here. We just need to try and cover that 800k in toughness. Now, we are going to be using... excuse me. Because we are going to be using these Jade and AJ again, as they're mainly our down arrow pro and females. Okay, and that should be enough. It's, what is it? It's 1.7. Oh no, that'd actually be a loss. Do we have a Brandy Rhodes? We might not. Actually, equally though, we can actually support, which we are going to use in this match. So, just to make it more effective. Obviously, we can use Finn Balor. We could also use the skipping as well, but because I'm thinking of free-to-players, they won't really have it. So, when I don't necessarily need to use it, I will not be using it. Of course, LA Knight here will have that equipment, and that is a 815, which is easy because it's at 711. Of course, Triple H is waiting to be waiting for me to basically fight him, but we are going to defeat Triple H. Of course, with this LA Knight ranked 4,000 something. 4377, so of course bear that in mind. If you have a low rank LA Knight, he will be a little bit worse. So do bear that in mind. Of course, remember it is a 711k match, so yeah. And then we're going to be using Finn Balor here, which you can get for 1,000 backstage tokens if you want the pro. If you've not got it, alternatively though, if you do have a universe, that'd be better. It's 100. That is much better than AJ actually to proc. Alternatively though, if you do not have AJ, super move and then use a you can easily super move this match. Of course, then you can use your support for perhaps the LA Knight match or the toughness match if you need to. Stage 69 is speed and charisma, which focuses heavily on the speed side of things. Of course, that 800k in speed will benefit Alistair, for sure, but it will not benefit anyone else, really. So, of course, Jade, LA Knight, going to lose the thermal equipment very quickly. Well, actually, no, LA Knight wouldn't. So, firstly, though, we are going to focus on the AJ Styles Fest. Actually, wait, no, what is the match? It's an 801. So, yeah, we're definitely going to focus on Alistair for the AJ Styles Fest. And then for the other two, we are going to be using a support anyway, just to help Jade Cargill out more. Of course, as you can see, the match is a 1.55. We do have 1.7 million as well, which we do need to be careful of. However, though, we're not going to challenge it, personally. So, let's... I mean, we could actually technically challenge it, try it with a Batista, although I do not think it will work. No, it will not. But, either way, of course, we are using a Heenan. So this first is at 1.6 million, which is perfectly fine. So that is 50k less than what we do need. Of course, Nia Jax's very low in speed, hence why the number is quite low. As to Black next, with his match against Brock Lesnar. Then lastly, we actually did not put support on LA Knight, which I should have done. I actually forgot to do, because I actually would have won that match. But it is perfectly fine without it. Of course, feel free to super move this. I would super move the first or the third. The only reason I would say maybe the first one a little bit more because of AJ. That could be a problem for a lot of people. So of course that is a problem for you. Feel free to super move that match. Next up is stage 70. Of course, we've got a lot of tag matches. Every single match is tag. Now, for this one, we are going to focus on power only. The reason for it is because we've got better power people than I do charisma toughness females. Of course, that is the second set of Jade Cargill boots that we did use during this. There we go. They're the exact same, so. Alright. Now, this is where we're going to be using two Batistas. Now, this is where you would use your red Batista, is what I'm going to call it then, corporate Batista. and this is where he would definitely be most effective. Now, of course, with this, I got LA Knight instead of Aleister Black, who would do a lot better in this case. Now, in this, I'm going to show that both versions will work. Now, I know it shows Joe Hendry guitars. That is going to dismiss the additional boosters as well. We do not have a Joe Hendry in this deck. He is a left arrow. Of course, Batista's got his own proc number as well. Of course, we can use a table, but for this, we are definitely super moving that second match, that toughness female match, as we quite frankly do not need to face that toughness female match. Of course, using the Batista there and Eric. Now, I am very aware that 2 Batistas Pro people will not have, so please do find an alternative to Batista. Potentially, options could include Yokozuna. Yokozuna, if you can get lucky in Hype Train, because he is in there, you can pro him. And potentially Stone Cold as well, if you can get him, because he's definitely not easy to get. So we used a table in that third match. But yeah, that is our campaign guide for stages 64 to 70. Next up, we'll be moving on to Jacob Fatu with our left arrows and a load of Obafemis. So thank you very much for watching this campaign guide video. Of course, good luck on your Maxine Duprees, and goodbye.